What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Mike's Reef Tank. Today's episode, we're going to discuss one of the most common questions in this hobby. What's the difference between soft corals, LPS, SPS, and NPS? If you're new to this hobby, this is going to be a great video for you because you'll be able to understand those acronyms and learn a little bit more about corals. So all corals are animals, they are not plants, and most corals, except for NPS, contain a symbiotic relationship with an algae called zooxanthellae. And what this does is this algae lives inside the corals and it absorbs sunlight through photosynthesis, and that actually feeds the corals. All right, so let's start with soft corals. Soft corals do not have a calcified skeleton. They are very flexible, they sway around and flow, and they're usually the most beginner friendly. Think about zoanthids, mushrooms, leathers, and even pulsing xenias if you're looking for some more movement in your aquarium. They're fast growers, they don't need super intense lighting, they don't need a ton of flow, and they're usually pretty forgiving in your aquarium, which makes them a great beginner coral. So if you're starting out, soft corals are a great place to begin. Next up, we got LPS corals. LPS stands for large polyp stonies. These guys do have a hard skeleton, but their polyps are very large and fleshy. Popular LPSs you'll see in the hobby are euphyllias, which contains frog spawns, hammers, torches, Duncan corals, favias, candy canes. Acans is another one that's very popular. These are kind of the middle ground. Not as easy as Softies, but not as demanding as SPS corals. They do like stable water parameters, and you gotta watch out for those sweeper tentacles because they can sting their neighbors. But overall, they're very colorful. They got some movement in your aquarium, and they're really fun to keep. You're gonna have to be mindful of your alkalinity, your calcium, your magnesium when keeping these corals because they will suck that out of your water, and it's gotta be replenished. Next up, we got SPS corals, and SPS stands for small polyp stony corals. These corals also have a calcified skeleton structure, but their polyps are very small compared to LPS corals. Corals in this category consist of Acropora, Montipora, and Acropora. I've got Aporites, there's a bunch of different ones. Cyphastria. These corals like to branch. They also like to form cups. They also can be encrusters. SPS corals are gorgeous, especially when you get those crazy bright colors, but they're also the trickiest. They need high lighting, they need a lot of flow, and it's got to be random flow, and you're gonna have to change your flow over time because some of those corals can, as they grow, they'll block flow, so you got to make sure that flow is random. And most importantly with the SPS corals is you need to have stable water parameters. Always focused on stability. Don't try to shoot for certain numbers. Just make sure everything is stable. They like consistency. They are usually considered an advanced coral for people that have been in the hobby for a while. But there are some acros and montiporas that are easy and beginner friendly. In my tank, I got the green slimer. That's a very easy acropora to start out with. And I've also got the Monty Cap, which is an easy one to start with as well. I would not recommend SPS corals as your first corals to be putting into your system until your tank is more mature. And then when you get to that step, these things can become really good showpieces for your aquarium. Now, for a coral that I do not have in my tank currently, we're gonna talk about NPS corals. NPS stands for non-photosynthetic stony corals. So these are like sun corals. You can also maybe talk about gorgonias. There's some gorgonias that are non-photosynthetic, and basically these do not have zooxanthellae, and they get all their nutrition from actual food in the water column. So this is a coral that does not need light. It's very good in shaded areas because it doesn't have any light requirements. But you're gonna have to make sure there's flow, and you're gonna have to make sure you actually feed the tank. You can't just rely on lighting alone. You're gonna have to make sure to, maybe put reef roids or maybe do spot feeding with mysis shrimp. They are gonna need to eat to survive. This can often make them the most difficult coral out of all 4 of these because of this need that you have to feed. Lighting isn't going to help you out with this coral. All right, to keep it simple, Softies are the easiest, flowy, and beginner-friendly corals. LPS is about the middle ground, big colorful polyps, moderate difficulty. SPS is the challenging coral, beautiful, and they need stability and experience to keep them. And NPS is the most difficult one because lighting is not going to help you. You got to make sure to feed those things to keep them healthy. Which one of these corals is your favorite? Drop in the comments below and let me know. Are you Team Softy? Team LPS? Do you like sticks? Or do you want a big challenge and go for some NPS? Thanks for hanging out with me today. If you guys enjoyed this content, smash that like button. For more reefing goodness, subscribe. And as always, happy reefing.